Okay. Okay. Put up some music. Put up some music and we'll talk. Excuse me, cat. Cat's just being loud. Let me put something up real fast. I'll let my cat in. She can come hang out with us. Come chill for the stream. Where's my Karazhan one? Split that one up there. It's like, this is pretty much my go-to. I'm a big fan of that whole like Victorian piano creepy music. One sec. Okay. Rolling up here, we're getting things moving, getting anything that we got going to get going. Currently, we're getting stuff prepped up for this big 4-man free-for-all tournament, looking like it's going to be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to it. I've already got some, dealing with some downplay already. Not my surprise, but still. I mean, it is what it is. It's just figured to be part of it. The problem is, it's going to be... I'm hoping Fate doesn't try and troll me when we're actually doing the stream. I feel like he's been trolling me lately, but I can't stop him. I can't tell him what to do. It is how it is. One sec. What's up there, Crystal Sanders? Here reportedly said in a drawing that recently the Urza is even stronger than Natsu. That's not true. That's got to be like one of those kind of general, not like caps, but it's more of just like one of those author comments that they just kind of say because it doesn't make any sense. Like even going off of recent feats or like long going feats, like Urza is nowhere near close to Natsu. It's not even remotely close. Like, huge. Face just down. Like, he's trying to tell me now that Raya can beat Wall, which is ridiculous. Orga versus Jackal. I'd probably get to Jackal. I mean, Jackal's just in overall a better fighter. Unfortunately for Orga, we have like no real displays of like his actual combat skills. It's like nothing for him to really do. I keep having to like type and answer stuff. But yeah, Jackal. Yeah, I would give the Jackal. I mean, Jackal's pretty strong. You can only do so much. Because, like, Orga's got, like, what, 2 techniques? Does he even have 2 techniques? Yeah, he's got 2. He's got the 120mm Black Lightning Cannon, and he's got the Charged Particle Cannon. Right? Orga Nanagear. Let me Google him. Sucks. How does a dude with such a fun-to-say last name end up being such fodder? I'm not even fodder, because the thing is, like, it's not even that he was weak. It's just, like, Mishima just didn't want to do anything with him. Like, he has the most weirdly thrown away existence. Like, Mishima just did not seem to want to do anything with him for whatever reason. He started out looking pretty fresh. Like, I didn't really expect anything from him other than, like, fighting Laxus. But once we actually were in the arc, like, he has no backstory. There's nothing really to him. I mean, he's got, like, his whole, like, singing funny bit, but that's like, the only thing you could really kind of go off of. The rest of it is just what? He looks like a weird fusion of Acnologia and Ignia, I guess. Like, if they fused into one giant buff guy, mix some Elfman in there or something. That's like, he's got a cool design. His name's cool. I mean, he's a God Slayer, so in hindsight, it's like, yeah, it's looking rough. One Piece nearly at the end. Who would have thought? I mean, people have been saying that for years. there was like a lot of the questions that extended of like what arcs we're gonna wear. I know some people were thinking like the Elbaf arc was gonna happen. I don't really think so. Like the most I can see is maybe it'll be in the movie, or maybe they'll like stop by there and it'll be like one of those mini arcs going into like a bigger arc. Because once we got to the Big Mom flashback, and Big Mom kind of like rolled over those two giant elders, I was like, there's no way that we're gonna get to like a giant arc where it's gonna be giants like relevant as that's like the big stuff. The only thing I could have really seen would be like what they go there and it's like Blackbeard or Shanks and stuff, because the giants aren't gonna be that formidable. Like giants in One Piece have been like, oh, like Oda has used them consistently to have other characters look stronger. Like, he's had them get the shit kicked out of them all series. Like, every series has those guys that just seem to exist to get beaten up. We just talked about the God Slayers. That's pretty much what they are for Fairy Tail. We're still getting outshined again since Lancelot introduction. Doesn't look like the MC anymore. Well, it's been one of those points where, like, he's had so much focus. He doesn't need to be the one getting focus right now. We'll get him back in his main character position, kind of like having some scenes in probably the next couple chapters, but I think it's more important for Nakaba to give us displays of the other characters right now, especially the other four knights. Because really, when you think about it, it's like Lancelot, we've had him for a while and he was Sin, but we don't really know anything about him from a combat perspective. We don't really know anything about Tristan from a combat perspective, and we just got Gwaine. We know much more about how Percival is in battles. I think it's more important right now for us to really get a feel of the other three, because even though they should have a frequent level of display in the series, right now one should be like, it's like they're pretty much their first real time to be put on display, like in full, full of where they're at right now. But also, it's going to be one of those times where, I mean, really, like, what else are they going to do? Is it just have Percival do all the legwork again? Like, this is the perfect time for it. Also, fun fact, Sherry is the only Godslayer who has eyebrows. What? What are you talking about? Orga has eyebrows. He's just got, like, a big old head. Like, he's still got eyebrows under there, I'd assume. Like, why would he not have eyebrows? Is he, like, they burnt off? I guess it would be fried off, because it'd be electrically done. It wouldn't be the same thing. I feel like it would be, actually. Hang on. Could you burn your own eye? Yeah, lightning would definitely burn hairs off. What am I talking about? Or electricity in general. It's still energy. It'd be ridiculous. Like, it wouldn't make sense. And Zenkro, I mean, no, Zenkro had eyebrows. Like, Zenkro absolutely had eyebrows. I think they're like those really sharp ones, though, where it's just kind of like, looks like it's almost combined into the shape of his eyes. One sec. Rusty Rose versus Rufus? I would give it to Rufus. Like, Rusty Rose has a really OP magic too, obviously, but Rusty Rose doesn't have that, like, notch up in just general position that Rufus has, like, once they got out of the time skip. But also, Rufus just seems to be a better fighter in a lot of ways. Like, when we got the point where Rusty Rose was fighting Freedom Bixlow, like, that was, like, the first time he's really felt, like, that kind of fear in battle, which benefited him, but it shows that, like, he's probably not been in nearly as many positions where he's been pressed, and I feel like, especially post now, Rufus is going to have a lot more just general experience. Like, Rusty Rose just seemed to kind of, like, go off and become, like, an alcoholic, or, like, be a homeless man or something. I'm trying to think about that one. Right now we're running like some of the test matches because we're preparing for this big four-man free for all. And we've been swapping around some of the characters in it, trying to move stuff around and figure out how things can kind of set up. Because I'm hoping I'm just hoping for some good ones. I'm hoping for some good ones right now. I've got a couple people in there that I think are gonna be fun. I put Doom in there because I think Doom will be really funny if there's like a good match where he can just get his spores everywhere and then potentially just one shot everybody. It's like he's gonna either be like a really crazy situational win or he's just gonna lose and he's gonna be an out. One sec. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I think going on right now that I have my high hopes on. I mean, the fight with Galand, that right now I think is probably one of my most intrigued things. Like, where are we at everywhere? Obviously, the one that I would put above it was the Lexus and Kieran one, just because that's just where my big hype is. But the Galand one is up there. Obviously, Kieran and Laxus. Mashal is doing obviously really good. I've been hyped on Mashal lately a lot. It's it's been in a really good spot, and right now with showing all of these characters who I've been waiting on has been pretty hype. You got the one dude, the Dragon Magic. I want to see him in a short fight. Like, he doesn't seem that interesting of a character. He seems a little weird, but his magic is cool. And I mean, I guess the Divine Visionaries aren't at a spot anymore where they're going to be that exciting to see, considering we're like in the big areas now. You probably need at least a couple of them to fight any character that's going to be relevant, because like the last chapter was them just flexing on people, flexing on fodder, which I get, but I want to see them in an actual match. I want to see them actually out, like in a position where they're gonna have some difficulty. Real quick, let me post the link real quick. I would say time for how do I want to call this stream? I'll just call it a nice, comfy stream. There we go. I'll call it that. One sec. Okay. Grimoire Heart went out really sad. Most of the team died. Well, yeah, so I actually have, I gotta do a video on them at some point that goes over it, because, like, one of the things, just really to think about, and what I want to talk about a lot in the, kind of like the overall topic in what happened with Grimoire Heart, is the thing that screwed over Grimoire Heart immensely is the fact that they didn't have really any, not like full teamwork, but they had like no loyalty, and like they didn't really have each other's backs. A lot of it was just there was no sense of camaraderie between them, so they're like, them not helping each other really screwed each other up. And like, obviously stuff like Azuma obviously was not a team player, and he was about himself more so than the mission and objective of his guild, which makes sense. Like, they all seem to have that kind of mindset for the most part. The only member that seemed like pretty much to the end loyal was Zancro, because like Rusty Rose obviously was with them, but he didn't give off that same kind of thing where it's like Zancro at the end was just like, oh, you're betraying us. Like, still believed a lot in his guild, obviously believed a lot in Hades, whereas Blue Note was like hard of even keeping controlled by Hades and stuff, like obviously old tier not backstabbing pretty much. Ever a Tower of God, it's really good. I got to like 40 or so chapters in. Eventually I'm gonna finish it. I remember seeing like there's like these weird meta Axis characters or something, which I'm not a fan of when things get too meta, but like I was told they're not really in the story, so I might give it a shot again at some point. What are your thoughts on the last few chapters of Fortnite Spotless? I'm hyped Galen's back. I am hyped Galand is back. Like, it's completely up my alley to see this dude back in action, even if he's only going to be around for a little while. One sec. Yeah, so I was just looking over. We had a quiet start. I mean, I'm hoping we get some more people up here to come chit-chat and just talk about what's going on. we can kind of get like a feel of some of the upcoming series. That Redragon, I think it's called, series, I'm hoping it's not like pure comedy slice of life. Like, my kind of like fingers crossed is it's maybe something kind of like Mission Yozakura Family or Hitman Reborn, where it's like a mix of the two. We just don't know if we're gonna get that. Any chance the other hooded person is Merlin or Merlin herself? Maybe. Like, if Merlin was there, though, I don't think she'd be, like, running around like that. I feel like she'd just be teleporting. If it's any... I kind of hope it's not a, I hope it's not a reoccurring character, because we just got 2 reoccurring characters with Galand and, Melascula. Is dealing with Faith has been downplaying my list every time. He's asking me to prove that 200 million degree plasma can evaporate a person or melt them or kind of just leave nothing left. What do you mean? Like, is plasma? I shouldn't need to prove something when we have like direct stuff for it. It's ridiculous. Like, prove to me that this, like, it'd be like if a character's like power is like, I throw a planet at somebody. It's like, prove that that guy has killed anybody with that attack. It's like, what the fuck do you mean? Happy to ask what's going on. Check out this new series called Reinforced Wood Stick. Maybe it's a weird title, I guess. At first, Diablos were normal guild with a bunch of dragon corpses. Georg and Kieran were normal mages. Well, no, he went and made the guild after he signed up, so he would have the 100 Years quest. Or he would have gone into meeting Kieran, I would assume, after having met it. The best I think we can get out of that is like maybe he knew Georg before, like the idea of Georg being like, oh, I'm gonna make a guild. Who's the first person I'm gonna invite? Oh, Kieran. Like, you know, he actually knows maybe someone maybe that he wanted to bring in, whereas like maybe the other members he found like more afterwards. We need a Greek theme manga, something with like the Greek gods would be pretty sick. Do you think we'll get the dwarves explored in Black Clover since it's going to the last arc? I would assume so. Maybe we'll get like some of the dwarves just over the time skip. Like, we know we'll get back. It's been a year or something, and they've already met the dwarves. Rex, did you see the latest One Punch Man spoilers? I haven't seen any spoilers for One Punch Man. If you want to at me and on Twitter, I'll look at them. We need some new shonen anime eventually. 2020 anime at all, dude. There's a lot of stuff about to end now. Just remember when Merity was recruited, when Old Tier, Zenkro, and Kane Hakar was there too. The dude was in her village. Well, the dude was just eating ice cream. Oh yeah, hey, Kane Hakar was goofy. Faye has Raya and Gajan on his list. He should lose to everyone. He's been downplaying everyone. He was asking me to prove that if Brandish had more magic than Escanor, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like Escanor is cool, but like, the sheer magic amount gap when we have like where Spriggan are in relation to Ethereon, and then it's like Escanor is strong, but it's like Escanor is nowhere near that. You watch 86 yet? It's an extremely underrated anime. I haven't seen that yet. Think there'd be a space fight in Fairy Tail? I don't really know. Like, it'd have to be super specific for characters to go up into space and fight for some reason. Here's a chance we get Gajiel and Graver's Mad Moon Scolion instead of Laxus fight in the next chapter. I don't think we're gonna get that. Like, if the fight didn't end with like important lore, I'd say maybe. I could see like that fight getting set up but not continuing, and then it being way more focused on the Laxus and Kieran fight. What's my thoughts on Alien Area? I thought the first chapter was okay. My only thing is the main character. His power seems a little bit meh, but it's like the first chapter. Like, they should have shown something cooler. Like, him just having a stretchy arm is you know, it can be neat, but it's definitely super underwhelming when it comes to like what a main character does in the first chapter, because that's usually one of the times you want to, you know, flair and impress of your main character, obviously the very first chapter. And this dude, what was his name again? I forgot what his name was. Like, he had a really weird name, like his last name and his first name were close. But yeah, that was my only thing about it. Like, I liked the concept. I thought the concept was cool. My only takeaway that I would say for criticism wise is just the main character seems a little bit like his stuff in his story, like the whole thing where he's like turning down schools and whatnot, and he's just trying to provide provide as like the main breadwinner of his house, because it's just like him and his two like little kid siblings. I like that whole setup. Like, I've seen that in a couple other series like a few times where it's like, the main character is like a older sibling, they've got to take care of their younger ones, and it's like, whatever the plot is, they're trying at its core to get paid, get money. And I think that's a pretty good one. It's one of those ones where it can really build a character, like a way to view a character and how they're perceived pretty well and early. And like I said, the first bit we got, I like. The only thing I would say is, like, from a standpoint of, like I said, what he can do as the main character so far is just kind of boring. I want to get to the next chapter, or at least like whatever point we're going to see his arm do more stuff, or is it just a stretchy arm? Can it become bigger? Can it change like its properties? Like, could it become like I don't know, like maybe made of metal and block an attack? Like, what's the whole plan going to be for that? If you could make your own devil fruit for yourself, what would it be? I want to have something with like a cool bug power. Like, bug devil fruits are super underutilized and underappreciated in One Piece. Like, bugs are OP. How long do you think the end of the series Natsu would be? I mean, end of series? Like, we got to see exactly where, like, an actual dragon god's, like, full out going all out is capable of. But, I mean, like, he's already, like, a threat to the planet. Like, he's already, like, a big danger to that. Have you done a video explaining Ethereum, Ether Nano, and those things? I can do one on Ether Nano at some point. Maybe one on Ethereum. Like, I haven't really thought about doing one on Ethereum, but it's, like, one of those magic ones that I'm, like, kind of, when it comes to Ether Nano. Just because, like, it's left mostly vague. Not really vague, but it's left a lot of it as, like, not as, like, concrete, obviously, as, like, what Black Clover does. And with, well, when it comes to, like, now, I really want to do one on second generation Dragon Slaying magic, but I got to do one on first gen before I get to that. We kind of have a character that uses lightning as a main character. Zatch Bell. Go raid Zatch Bell. Or Gash Bell, rather. Zatch Bell is the English name. Thoughts on why Suzaku Natsu cannot damage Dogromag's walls? I mean, because it's material scaled at his level. It's like how Alderaan had, like, leaves and stuff that couldn't burn, or he could, he had wooden shards, like pretty much big splinters that wouldn't burn and could pierce, like, Natsu's body and stuff when things like bullets and blades can't do that. I think all the members of Diabolos have personal beef with dragons. I don't think they all do. I think some of them are probably just, like, strong. They got picked up. Sinbad technically has his own manga. Yeah, he's got his own little spinoff. Natsu in the first chapter was doing Fire Dragon Zor. Natsu versus Roger. Roger doesn't really have, like, any feats, does he? Does one between the characters have bug-based powers? That'd probably be pretty sick. Do you think Meliodas will get a lot stronger in the last 16 years? No, I think he's been working. My guess is Meliodas has been mostly just kind of doing work and, like, being the king and whatnot. Being a dad. Like, he's probably been too busy for that kind of stuff. One second. Some of these, like, FaZe just makes really crazy things. Let me see this. I'm just reading something that Quan's posting. It says, let's see. I hope that Alderaan return. Really nice dude. I like Alderaan, but it's like, I don't really know if he's going to come back, though. That's the thing. Like, him coming back would be really strange. Like, it depends on the exact reasoning of him surviving. Like I said, there was, like, the idea that his wooden form was not his actual body, but it's like if you imagine, like, a seed-like dragon that the wood grows around, and maybe his actual, like, core form is like, something separate, and he could be alive, maybe recovering. I could see that, But like, there has to be a reason for him to come back. I feel like, because it would be strange to bring him back just to not really do anything with him, and bringing any of them back that are otherwise out of commission. You need to like account for the fact that you're bringing back like a top tier character, like one of the strongest people in the verse, and throwing that into any scenario is going to be huge. It's like, when are they going to bring back Alderaan for like a spot that he fits into? That would be super rough to have. Would rather the main character of the smartphone stay working by himself or work with a detective? I haven't read the smartphone series. I don't really get it. It's like what? It's like Death Note, but with the phones. I don't really know if I like, because that's just what, Future Diary? I don't really know if I'm going to be up for that. If you had to rank all the Dragon Gods, who'd you put where? I mean, they're all relatively equal except for Dogremag. Dogremag's the only one that's below any of the other ones. We don't really have anything to go off of for any of the other Dragon Gods. I mean, if you counted Acnologi in there, that's the only one that I'd say, like, if I had to place somebody, he'd be above other people. But that's just because that's Acnologia. I'm testing out this wheel in case like anybody hears any of this stuff on it. I'm trying to test out this spinny wheel and trying to figure out like how it's gonna go. I figured out one. I was just gonna try and mix them all up together, but I was like, that's gonna make it way worse. I'm just gonna get like the characters pretty much just all their own wheels. It's like I'm just like doing this right now to kind of like stir up some conversation, pretty much. I mean, so far every time I put like one out there, it just tells me the fairy tale characters lose. It's like, he's like telling me Raya is gonna like turn invisible and kill Wall, and I'm like, what the he's gonna like what, trying to hit him with like an energy sword against a machine who's probably not even there. Bleach versus Naruto, stories and characters. Oh, I like Bleach way more than Naruto. Like, I would say, like, out of those three, the obvious that everyone says the big three. I never call them that. I went with HST. I liked it when it's the Holy Shonen Trinity. I thought that was a cooler title. But I like Bleach the most, and then Naruto, and then One Piece. Have you heard? Oh, I read the Dragon one. Ender Meliodas, better of a badass design, dude. It like, I think I'm so on the fence about the idea of him going into Endura, because I want it to happen, but it would have to have been a way to set up and pretty much get rid of Meliodas, and I don't think that'll happen right now. I feel like that has to happen like before a time skip or something, right before like a major turning point in the series. Because if they lost Meliodas, that's like what, the strongest character currently on their side. Is there anybody really on the side against Arthur more powerful than Meliodas? I haven't seen any. Like, I can't think of anybody like, oh, I just fucking need this shit out of my desk. I'm looking at the One Piece spoilers too. The only thing that like I can think of that's like even neat is what the Green Bull dude shows up. I think that'll be kind of cool. I thought he was gonna, like, my whole like thing I was just gonna throw in there was like, it's Zoro's dad or something weird, but like at least from the spoilers, he doesn't, like, he looks like he has like long black hair or something. Obviously it's a black and white, so it's like maybe his hair is a different color. Maybe it's like a dark green or something. Think we'll get a time skip in 100 Years quest? Maybe. I mean, it's definitely like in the possibilities, because it's not like the idea of like mid Tartaros or mid Alvarez or something time skip. Like the 100 Years quest, even though we say like arcs, it's more like parts of a saga, and the whole thing is the whole thing 100 Years quest is really going to be the not compact version, but it's like the compiled whole just kind of thing of what we're in right now. And then you can kind of say arcs, but really just kind of split them up. With that though, it's like we could easily get a time skip because we know that the 100 Years quest, like based off of just what Guild Arts went up for, what, like, was it 3 years? 3 years he went out on it, or was it 2 years? Either way, a couple years going to do it. And we know that these kind of quests can actually take them years to do. Like, it's not the same thing. They're going to be busy. Keep looking. Laxus will be the GOAT next chapter. I don't think it'll be next chapter. Like, I'm really hoping it's not next chapter. I'm hoping for at least 2 chapters. I'm hoping for 3, but 2 more is like where I kind of would say it as like, just please be this amount. If it's more than 3, I'll be ecstatic. I'll be ecstatic if it's anything more than 3. My hopes is it's like next chapter, fight, starting into the flashback. Chapter after that, part of the flashback, more of the fight. Chapter after that, conclusion of the fight. Like pretty much the just focused on them, head on, just straight battle. Whatever Laxus is gonna do to pull through and get some form of upgrade or to overcome Kieran, and that be the fight. That's my hope. Yeah, people are like laughing because Yamato is like in the bath. Either way, anyway, yeah, we get some more of this. Luffy versus Blackbeard final fight. I'm hoping Blackbeard is really kind of like put all in, because like if he's not the final villain, then the emu guy is going to be the final villain. Like logically, they're the only people left. Because, like, Shanks could be the final opponent, but unless Oda wants to act like straight make him into a villain, I don't think anybody else could really overtake the other characters, like, for a final villain spot. None of the new action series have phenomenal art. Doraron actually has pretty good art. I think that's been pretty solid so far. Like, super art, I mean, like, it depends on really where you want to, like, use your comparison point to. I'm getting ready to stoke an argument. Hang on. Working on it. I'm telling you, the end of the Kieran Laxus will be Laxus eating Kieran or Coffin. For one, he's not gonna eat Kieran, and 2, I don't think he'll eat the coffin. I could see like the coffin breaking, and then like maybe the soul comes out and kind of like goes into Laxus's body, or something like that. Maybe Kaido is dead. What do you think? What do you think would happen next? Well, I assume they're gonna get to the bounties soon, because it's like what Green Bull is showing up to Wano, and that's gonna be the next chapter, not this week, next week's chapter is the last chapter before the month-long hiatus. So Oda's going to go on a break after, what, 10... No, I think 10:54 is when he's going to come back. Maybe. It's either 10:54 is when he goes on the break, or 10:54 is when we come back from the break. So I think we only have, like, this chapter and next week's chapter left. I think. I'd have to double check. I'm pretty sure it is. I think 10:54 is when we're going to return. But it seems like this chapter is just like kind of happening. Things are just kind of doing. Emu can be the final villain. I mean, potentially. I mean, that's somebody logically that can be it. This dude's got like a flower copter. I guess Green Bull is going to have plant powers. People have been calling that forever. I was hoping it would be like something kind of like a weird switch. And maybe green would be like more of a thing to Zoro. I actually, because like when I say like Zoro, if like imagine if Green Bull was Zoro's dad, and like the whole bull thing was like, oh, he uses 2 swords, kind of like how, you know, bull horns or something. Could have been neat. This is obviously just something like right out, like based off of nothing, essentially, like literally nothing I could have went off of. I remember there was like a comment from like a silhouette part he mentioned about like a girl giving him food, and that was one of the things that theory kind of sat for a minute. I've never really invested in the idea in whoever Green Bull is, unless it's Vegapunk. That was the only other thing, just because like, oh, maybe, but probably not. Actually, have we even seen, like, let me Google something. Have we even seen a silhouette of Vegapunk? That I don't know. Let me see. I don't think so. I don't think there's ever been like I don't think there's ever been a silhouette. It just looks like there's just part of his body. Oh, that's close. Oh god, I was looking at some fan art ones. Like, oh, that's ugly. If he's lame looking, I'll be so sad because he's like a big thing. He's been like a big thing for a long time. I assume he's gonna be neat. He's like the only thing I know about is he's got like a striped shirt, which doesn't give him a goofy shirt. I guess he's tall. I bet Luffy's bounty would be around 3.5 billion. It'd be weird for him not to be way higher. Like, my hopes is it's gonna be like something ridiculous, and it's gonna be like Wanted Dead, and it's gonna be like just an outright they are all targets, no playing games on Luffy. Because I think that's where it needs to be. Like the oh my god, not the Celestial Dragons. I'm trying to remember what the old guys are called, the Gorosei or whatever. The thing about them is Luffy has so many things that should be alarmed as like a big deal. Like he's got all these hockeys. He's got like the fruit they've been after the most. He's got like Garp for a grandfather, Dragon for a father. What else is there? Like he straight declared war on the world government. He punched one of the celestial dragons. Like, they should be after him. Like, they should be hard pressed on Luffy, like, coming after him. It's weird that they're not. Like, what do these old guys do other than sit in this one room? July 5th, the One Piece's final saga. Is that when the art comes, or the manga comes back? I think that Natsu has surpassed Urza. She's still, but he's still afraid of her. I mean, yeah, he's gonna be, because he looks at her like an older sister thing. Like, lots of characters will do stuff like that, or there'll be somebody they're afraid of just because of the characters. Like, Naruto being scared of Sakura at points. It's like, did anyone think that, like, after what, like, the first, like, arc or so? Probably not in the first arc, because it's like, in general, at any point, was Sakura ever stronger than Naruto? Maybe before Naruto even, like, got Shadow Clones, which is like, okay, cool, she was stronger than for half of Chapter 1. What do you think will happen to Queen after Wano? He got kicked out of the island. Like, he's probably dead, I would assume. Like, unless he conveniently landed on some land, I would assume he drowned. Lactus will become the strongest to surpass Urza Jalal. Maybe. I like Super Smartphone and Alien Areas so far. Well, that's good. Hopefully they live. Luffy will be 2 billion bounty. I think it's got to be higher than that. Like, I want to see like 5. Do you think Karen will be able to take over with Alexion Soul, just like Demaria and Kronos? Well, no, because he doesn't have takeover magic. If he did, that would be really cool. If he has takeover magic, I think that'd be a really fun twist for him. Because logically, he could have another magic. I mean, he could have another magic in general, because we know that he can just learn magic. But he had to become a Dragon Eater at some point. So you could easily just say that he had takeover magic beforehand, and then integrated the two into each other. I think that'd be badass if we got something like that. And it was like Laxus versus Alexion buffed Kirin, so you could have that dragon-like fight without him using Dragon Force. And that'd be really cool if that was like his thing. Like, he figured out how to do it without Dragon Force. And maybe that was part of it. It's like, you know, this is beneficial to me because I can't use it, but I can kind of do like a cheap way to do it as well. My older sister has what is this? A bad back and is in her 30s. I'm still afraid of her. Yeah, there you go. Urza would still beat Natsu? No, she wouldn't. Urza would get completely destroyed by Natsu. Like, you look at how Natsu did against Suzaku when he went in there with like a mindset of actually putting in like just not trying to fight him in freaking base. Like, actually like respecting his level. Urza was in her clear heart armor, one of her top combat armors. I don't think she was using Yodobeni Sakura. Let me pull that up really quick. Because, like, one thing I noticed is, like, that's very annoying but neat at the same time is Mishima, he doesn't say when she's using Beni Sakura. But if you look at the crossguard, you can tell. Like, because the crossguard has, like, a very specific shape. I'll have to like show that at some point. Like it's very consistent. Anytime you can tell she's using it, cause, well, I guess you can't say it like that. Cause you can tell when she's using it consistently because like Mishima will draw Benizakura the same way with the cross guard, where it has like that, not hexagon-y shape, kind of like though, like hexagon octagon shape. Let me see. I don't think she was using Benizakura. I think she's just using one of her normal katanas. No, it's not Benizakura. It's not. It's just a regular one. That one's obviously like its own special thing. Think will happen to page one? I think he's probably gonna be thrown aside. Like I don't know why they're gonna really need him anymore. Like what does page one really do for the story at this point? Skolnion and Kirin could be part of a necromancer guild. That'd be pretty sick. Like I want to see like just some of the general connections between some of them over the last like where did it come from before Georg? That's what I'm really waiting for when it comes to the general members of Diablos, just to see what they're doing and like where they came from. Yeah, old dudes are like we have the fifth emperor main character, etc. We should go after him. The other dude said, yeah, but we could chase Boa. Yeah, they can go randomly try and take down frickin' the warlords for who knows what reason. I still think the like getting rid of the warlords was a bad idea, but like the biggest thing is like why did they try and go after Mihawk and not send anybody of relevance? Like Mihawk, you're gonna need somebody strong to actually go and do anything to him. Favorite Urza armor? I love the Nakagami armor. I really like her Atraxia armor. I gotta figure that one. That one's probably one of my favorites just because it looks really cool in general. And it's like an upgraded version of her Heaven's Wheel with like her manipulating the swords. Like she just has a higher degree of sword manipulation. Way more precise. I think it just looks generally a lot cooler. One sec. Freaking Faith. Yeah, I got the guy like I was talking to him earlier, and it was like talking about like the whole Escanora and Brandish thing. It's like you have the fact that the Spriggan sit above Etherion, and you know like how powerful Etherion is. He's like trying to downplay it, and then like talking about Buster Call, which is like Buster Call is just it's just a big cannon barrage. It's just some big warships cannon barraging an area. Like it's not that scary. My handwriting is the same as Urza's. My handwriting, I actually discovered this. It's my handwriting like almost entirely depends on the pen that I'm writing with, or like the writing utensil. If I'm just using a really shitty one, like my handwriting just seems to be kind of plain. But if I'm using a nice pen, somehow I feel like just a nicer pen. I just unknowingly take more time with, and it just comes out looking better. So would Alexion be above Igneo or the same level in terms of importance? I mean, he should be around the same level. We don't know really anything about like the dragon hierarchy prior to to what was going on. Anything that happened pre-Acnologia, because that whole bit in time is pretty much like a big question mark to us. We have little to no knowledge of the pre-Acnologia like state of the world with dragons. We only know that they, pretty much ran and did whatever they wanted to, but we don't really know the lore or anything. Like we have really nothing that like sits prior to those 400 years of like the general area where people like Acnologia, Zareth, Irene were all up to their own stuff. Like we don't have like a character, 600 years ago, this character was out doing shit before all those guys. We don't really have anything for that. But I would assume that in general, Alexion is going to have the same level of general importance as a Dragon King as Igneo would. Maybe a little less, just because Igneo seemed to be a dragon who had a lot of connections to other dragons, and seemed to be like respected outside of just the fire dragons. And it seems like a little bit implied that he was the strongest pre-Acnologia, which it's something I can pretty much understand, process. But like Alexion, it's gonna really like I think depend on. What exactly happened when like Acnologia was doing his things? Because clearly Alexion wouldn't have died until recently, like within the last couple of years. So like, what was he hiding the whole time? Daily reminder: Shanks is a swordsman and Mihawk's the strongest swordsman. I feel like Mihawk just like doesn't really try to take that position, whereas like Shanks doesn't actively try to take that position. Whereas Mihawk is probably more known for it and like actively does swordsman stuff to like make people more aware of his position among swordsmen. Laxus beat Urza, so he is second strongest character with Natsu. Yeah, he's up there like Natsu, Guild Arts, and Laxus are all in that same area at the top of the guild. Chapter 5, Misaki said to Urza, I've used the power only once before while sparring with Kirin. So what is she talking about? That just means that like the power she was using, that like weird straight spatial attacks where she's just like can just attack you with the space around you, is like what, like one of her better moves, I would assume. Like it's something she's only pulled out a couple times. Misaki's so weird. Like I really want to know what's going to be the deal with her by the end of this arc if Mishima just decided not to do anything with her. They both are. Oh yeah, they're both Dragon Kings. They're the only two natural Dragon Kings we've seen, because Acnologia got his. I mean, Acnologia and Irene aren't natural dragons, but I mean, Irene's was like a dragon slayer who gained the title based off power, and Acnologia pretty much has it by taking the title and becoming the king of dragons through sheer force. There's still like that degree of probably like how Igneal and Alexion held their positions, obviously in a species held on strength, but they're the only ones we really know of that were straight kings before anything like Acnologia and whatnot. So I would assume they're around the same general area as each other. Didn't think Berserk would ever come back. I figured it would come back. Like in my head, I think it would have been one of those things that they would want to finish for their friend. They don't want to leave his work left uncompleted. You want to like make sure that his legacy is well remembered and well in good position once they pretty much end it. Second. I don't think. Oh, I read that one. Kirin over Suzaku. I mean, we know that he's stronger. If you like it more, I mean, that's fine. Kirin's like had nothing but like rising stock since he was introduced. I think Diablo's killed the dragon children and teens. It wouldn't surprise me if it's like going to be one of those things where we see maybe Alexion is a dragon who just kind of kept to himself and didn't really do anything kind of crazy, but they still just kind of went for him. Like maybe he'd been protecting other like dragons, like maybe his own offspring or any other dragons just in general, or maybe he was just hiding trying to keep himself alive, and they came for him and they're going to do whatever kind of like diabolical stuff that Kirin and Georg had planned. That's at least my belief, just because it seems like Kirin is being built up a bit as like a crazy bad guy, and obviously the Jack the Ripper theme like played into that is going to, it's going to be a tell. Like if you've got a guy who is designed off of a like probably the most famous serial killer ever, like I can't think of anybody more famous than Jack the Ripper, just because like he doesn't have the most bodies, but he's like the most known, and he's just like the aesthetic of him like carries what he did to such a higher standard of like what other characters have had. And on top of that, let's be honest, the idea of like the Jack the Ripper design, like think of like Jack the Ripper versus what, John Wayne Gacy or somebody. It's like that guy, cool, like he looked like a creepy fat dude, versus like this badass looking freaking dude with a monocle and a top hat, some sick coat, looking way more like just in general cool, like with his design. Favorite Yu-Gi-Oh opening? Probably GX opening 4. That's probably my pick. Was that Burning Heart? I love that one. Jail fights, Lean 3 minions versus Invul 9 Heart. I mean, that's going to come down, I think, pretty much to, what, 9 Heart? Because 9 Heart has, like, some scary stories he can make in general by, like, making people like Wall and Bloodman. Like, Hakune is definitely dangerous, but it's like if they can get some people out and take her out before she uses Diamond Effect, I think they got it. But, I mean, if she uses Diamond Effect and lands on them, they're pretty much screwed. despite the fact that One Piece is in its final saga. Its final saga has lasted 500 chapters. I don't think that this one is going to be 500 chapters. My guess is it's going to be probably like 200 to 3 or 2 to 300 is my guess for what the final one. I could be wrong. We could get another freaking 10 years, but who knows. I remember Otis saying something about him wanting to go to 30 years. Like, he said that 5 years ago, I'm pretty sure, for the 20th anniversary, that he wanted to go to 30. And we're at 25, and he's, like, announcing this around the 25th anniversary. So I think it would make sense if he's, like, gonna try and go for 30. Because it's like, what you can get in 5 years, what, another 200 plus? Like, somewhere between, like, 200 to 250 or something chapters. Let's say 200. And I know 200 in One Piece, like, it's wild to think, like, he could fix up the story and end it within 200 chapters. But it's like, I think if Oda just took a lot of, like, plot stuff and figure out a way to connect them so you could find out multiple things at once and to kind of really piece things together, he can do it without it feeling rushed. It's just like, he would just have to space it nicely and to kind of, like, keep it so it's coming out organically and it doesn't feel like he's just throwing out reveals to, like, leave certain things unturned, pretty much. I would rather him leave stuff vague than just to kind of, like, cram everything together. Jack the Ripper, is that like a JoJo reference? No, Jack the Ripper was a serial killer. Like, he was in London, I think, like the 1800s or the 1700s. He was killing prostitutes. Like, Jack the Ripper was, like, he's the most famous serial killer, like, ever. I can't think of anybody more famous than him. Like, when you think about a serial killer, like, Jack the Ripper is, like, the most known, like, most, probably, maybe not the most infamous, but probably, like, one of the most used and most, like I said, widely recognized. Misaki forgot a bloodlust, pissed off Urza. The problem was Misaki wasn't taking Urza seriously. Like, for real, she was not taking Urza seriously. Even during the later portions, when she was starting to kind of, like, look at Urza as, like, an opponent, she didn't seem to really have the idea, like, this is somebody that could be a threat to me. She seemed to just be like, when she pulled out that one ability, it seemed like she was like, oh, you know what, you've entertained me enough, I'll show you something special, kind of thing. It seemed like one of those character moments, and not, oh, you're actually pretty strong, I'm gonna have to, like, pull out some of my big guns. It seemed like even until, like, the point where, like, Urza was starting to overtake her a little bit, that Misaki was not seeing her as, like, a worthy opponent. And that's why I'm really hoping that Mishima is going to have a rematch, because, like, their match was left a little bit weirdly vague in how she was defeated. Like, that we didn't see really any, like, close-up of her face, like, the shadowing around the eyes, like, it was all in, like, smaller panels and nothing directly showing, like, her reaction or anything. So I feel like she's not fully done. I could be wrong on that. That's just kind of, like, where I'm at right now. It's like either Mishima's either using it as a misdirection and then gonna have her kind of, and use this defeat kind of, like, maybe for her character, but otherwise, like, I would assume that he just kind of decided he didn't really want to do anything with her and they wanted to move to, like, Dogromag and what was going on with Indian Slain. I'm hoping that he's going to do something with him, because, like, if we can have their fight, like, an actual, like, Misaki taking her seriously from the start, back in their match, Scullion and Gray, Mad Bull and Gagio, and have that, like, while the Dogromag fight is going on, I think that'd be a great way to kind of, like, really set, like, further for this arc. Because I really don't like the idea of Gagio showing up and doing nothing. Because, like, with Gray, it'd also be really upsetting. But Gray has stuff that, like, he's done in the 100 Years quest, where it's like, all Gagio's really done was, like, he had a skirmish with Natsu, some wood golems, and then he got to punch Alderaan a little bit, which helped. Like, it's not like him helping in the fight with Alderaan did nothing. But I want him to have, like, a part where he's got the spotlight and he's not a supporting person. I want Gagio to have, like, a Gagio-centered part of the story. Kira looks like a British rocker that doubles as a voodoo man a little bit. It's that, like, it's the monocle, I think. The monocle in the top hat. Favorite Yu-Gi-Oh openings include, is it OG, OP6, or OP5, GX4, 5Ds, 5, Zexal 2, Arc 5, is it Arc 5 2, I think, is probably one of my favorite for Arc 5, Reigns opening 3. I was not a huge fan of a lot of Reigns' openings. Like, Reigns did not have, like, hit openings as much to me. I liked them. It's hard for like Yu-Gi-Oh to have a bad opening, but it's not one of the like it didn't have one that I can remember like being really hyped. I think I remember one of the endings being better, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Elbaf, Lodestar in the final war are the only arcs left. I don't think we're gonna get Elbaf. I already said this. I don't think Elbaf is gonna happen. The only thing I can really see with Elbaf is they're gonna stop there briefly because it's like, well, who's gonna be there that's a threat? Who's gonna be there that's really anything to do? As I know, like people say, like, oh, well, that might be where Blackbeard and Shanks are, but you really think that like Blackbeard and Shanks are gonna be like focused in the fight in like an arc before the final war? I don't think so. Because the only people logically you could have for like an end opponent for Luffy are Blackbeard, the Emu guy, or Shanks. Those are logically his big final villains. You have like obviously for Blackbeard, Shanks for a story kind of like reasons, you know, doing a full circle thing, and then Emu just based off of like his apparent position in the world. Just need Jalal power up, ready for Laxus fight. I really hope Jalal gets something soon. He deserves it. I like that Urza was crippling. Urza has crippling stage fright. I mean, it's a funny thing for a character. Anyway, I'm going to call it here. I just wanted to do a short stream and kind of talk about what was going on. We didn't even really talk about Eden Zero or Four Knights, did we? We talked a little bit about Galand. I guess for like Eden Zero, we didn't really have anything going on other than like you have Hermit getting overdrive, which is pretty cool. A little bit neat there, but I feel like she's just going to completely stop. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. We're going to have a longer what's today? Because I'm planning to the stream with the guys with that free for all, and that one's gonna be long. That one's gonna be a couple hours, so I'm trying not to have too long of streams until then. This is kind of just like, you know, like I said, I wanted to have some more just in between, where I just kind of can stop by, chat, and answer any questions. And a kind is not going to be the main build; he's gonna get clapped. But anyway.